And half of that comes from preparing, studying, and knowing I got God on my side. So throughout all that, I had no worries. I didn't feel nervous or anything before the game because, you know, like he took all my worries and everything away. Coming up here before y'all, 6, 7 months ago, I couldn't tell you I'll be here. You know, God, the only way I'm able to even get through everything, you know, being able to see my family.
What did we even watch out there? Shedeur Sanders rolled into Cleveland like he updated his whole system overnight and came back running the place with straight confidence. He didn't just quiet the doubters, he walked past every critic, every loud commentator, and every dude tweeting from his mom's house like, "Move, I got work to do." The Browns finally grabbed a win, and Shedeur didn't just play a clean game. He dropped a full-blown quarterback clinic while sipping all that doubt like it was his favorite drink. How did he flip it like this? What changed, and why does the whole internet look like it's panicking right now? Let's break into this. And seriously, what did the Raiders think they stepped into? A football game or a public ego demolition on live TV?
A win is a win. It doesn't matter how you get the win. Shedeur Sanders beat the Las Vegas Raiders, and people saying he beat the Raiders. What's the big deal? The big deal is he's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns that won his first start since 1995. He's the first quarterback for the Cleveland Browns to complete a pass for over 50 yards in the last 15 games. That's a crazy stat. And then, yes, he went out there and won 11-21. He had an interception. He had a touchdown pass.
The second Shedeur touched the field, Cleveland's whole offense lit up like someone plugged them into a socket labeled "Quiet All Critics." People tuned in expecting mess and confusion, but instead they watched a quarterback treating pressure like a late-night walk to the fridge at 3 a.m. And remember that Shedeur can't win in the NFL crowd? The folks who live online like it's their full-time job? Real silent now. Probably on break or busy rewriting predictions that went bad faster than old milk. The Raiders walked in acting like they were the villains of the episode, but the plot twist smacked them faster than a surprise haircut gone wrong.
You come here. What does this moment mean to you?
God he the only way I made it through it. The last 6, 7 months been extremely hard. Like, hey, come on, bro, I'm doing a serious interview, fam. That's so shaking over there. But seriously though, like, God the only way I was able to get through it. It was great. You know, the last 2 days ago, we all had like a big conversation in the locker room, you know, just about God. And
Shedeur didn't look shook, didn't look confused, didn't even look like someone chasing his first Browns win. He walked in like he owned the remote, hit mute on every skeptic, then hung it back up like, "I'll need that again real soon." The man was reading the defense like they owed him money. Every snap looked like he was telling them, "You sure you want to blitz? I like when you blitz. Blitz again." And then boom, another first down, another drive, another defensive coordinator questioning every decision he made this week. Cleveland fans were losing their minds, and rightfully so. Half the crowd was cheering like they just hit the jackpot, and the other half was busy Googling brackets trying to see who invented the phrase, "Shedeur is him." Even the broadcast graphics crew probably had to stop themselves from slapping, "This is what happens when doubt becomes energy," on every replay. Meanwhile, the Raiders really did try. They came in acting like this was their heroic movie moment, flashing big entrances, hyping each other up, and pushing the whole "nobody believes in us" script like they were auditioning for a trailer voiceover. But the second that ball snapped, the whole thing flipped into a 60-minute personality quiz they clearly didn't prepare for.
For the Cleveland Browns, I'm not saying it was the best rookie performance ever, but let me ask you a question. How many games has Cam Ward won as the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans as the #1 pick? How many games has Jackson Dart won for the New York Giants as the quarterback for them? Exactly. So for Shedeur Sanders to win his first official start, it's a big deal.
Their coverage had zero discipline, like it was allergic to doing the right thing. Their tackling vanished like someone hit delete, and every time they scraped together a tiny bit of momentum, Shedeur shut it down with the smoothness of someone turning off a lamp before bed. No smack talk, just talent doing all the talking. People used to say Shedeur plays like someone spoiled by confidence. But listen, if confidence wins games, then spoil him forever, because the Raiders threw every look possible at him, and none of it mattered. They rolled coverage, dropped deep safety, spied him, disguised pressure. They tried everything except walking over and handing him their defensive playbook. And the ball still went exactly where it needed to go, like it had GPS that never loses signal. No Wi-Fi required. And let's talk about composure, because this man was so calm he looked like he could have tossed a touchdown while ordering a smoothie. Even when the pocket was closing in, Shedeur had the same chill face someone gets while choosing the perfect song on a road trip. Raiders defenders got close a couple of times, but only close enough to end up in someone's dramatic photo they probably don't want printed anywhere. Critics tried to find flaws. They came prepared with whole paragraphs drafted, but that wasn't a football game.
And I'm not going to sit here and say this was the greatest performance in the world, but he should be the starting quarterback the rest of the way. Find out what you have in him. You know what Dylan Gabriel is. He showed it. He's not the long-term answer. So now go find out what you have in Shedeur Sanders. He did a lot of really good things today. He did some really bad things today. But that's what you get with rookie quarterbacks. Now you got to see him grow. Let him go through the week again. Let him continue to grow as a quarterback. Find out what he is. Look, if Gabriel isn't the guy and Shedeur isn't the guy, you go back into the pool next year and you draft one. But if he shows down the stretch that he can be that guy, then you might not need to do that. Then you have a...
It was a full motivational seminar on belief. Every completion stacked confidence like Lego pieces. Every drive felt like a poster being created in real time. If this is what the Browns look like when they believe, every AFC team might want to start journaling ASAV. But here's the funniest part of the whole night. This game wasn't even perfect, not even close. Shedeur had a few throws that looked rough, a couple plays that went sideways, some passes that definitely weren't pretty, and still the Raiders couldn't take advantage of anything. They got chances and treated them like fancy landing pages. Nice to look at, zero actual use. Every time adversity showed up, Shedeur and the Browns swatted it away like an annoying pop-up ad. Click X and keep moving. At one point, it legit felt like the Raiders' defense was out there running wind sprints while Shedeur was relaxing like this was light work. Pick any metaphor you want. It was a chess match where one side didn't know the rules. A spelling bee where one team didn't study the alphabet. An escape room where the Raiders didn't realize clues were part of the game. And imagine being a Raiders fan tonight. You sat down expecting a thriller, popcorn in hand, heart racing, only to get a 3-hour tutorial on how confidence and preparation can stomp out your hopes with a polite smile. And listen, it wasn't even the mercy type of performance.
Well, it turns out that Shedeur Sanders, our boy 12, got his first win, his first NFL win against the Raiders. But y'all told me that he wasn't a quarterback. Y'all told me that he wasn't an NFL quality quarterback. What happened? Why did he win then? Score was 24-10, which means a double-digit win. And as you can see from most of the game, Shedeur Sanders
He didn't need trash talk, he didn't need theatrics, he just let the silence smack harder than anything the Raiders tried to do. The kind of silence that hits group chats, explodes on timelines, and makes analysts pause mid-recording on TikTok because they can't believe what they're watching. Even better, every tiny spark the Raiders found, Shedeur blew out instantly like birthday candles before anyone even started singing. Third down, converted, pressure, dodged, red zone, handled. The Raiders might as well have walked in, holding printed instructions titled, "How to Beat Us," because the Browns followed that guide step by step with zero hesitation. First things first, let's take a moment of silence for the real victims of this win. The haters' keyboards. Those poor things haven't been this untouched in years. No angry tweets, no dramatic rants, no late-night breakdown videos, just silence and half-written drafts sitting there begging for permission to go public. Maybe tomorrow the critics will crawl back online and hit us with their usual plot twist about one lucky game, because they always do, but today they're sitting with arms crossed, staring at Shedeur's stats like those numbers personally offended them. Meanwhile, Browns fans are experiencing something brand new, actual optimism, and it's confusing all of them. They're looking at the sky, making sure it's not falling. They're checking the score twice to confirm it isn't a typo. You could feel the shift in the stadium, everybody on edge, Raiders needing a miracle, and Shedeur walking around with that smooth swagger of someone who didn't forget a single detail.
I was a fifth-round pick. I got skipped by everybody at least 5 times. so it's not. It just comes with the game. You know, it is what it is. But I'm just thankful for where I am now. You know, I don't. Everybody have their differences. But I still got an opportunity to play. So why can I be mad? You know, money different, but thankfully I have a good family. You know, so it is what it is. We're not playing for that. We're playing for the love of the game. So I'm just thankful to be out here, have opportunity.
Every snap, every read, every decision, cold as ice. The clock kept running, the crowd got louder, and the cameras zoomed in on a quarterback completely owning his whole storyline. And let's be clear, this wasn't the peak. This was the message, the warning label, the brace yourself if you're not ready for what's coming next moment. Shedeur didn't just win a game, he planted a whole flag on doubt and signed his name on it. Neat, clean, perfect handwriting. The Raiders, they'll bounce back eventually. They'll walk into their press conferences using words like growing pains and retooling and next time. And that's cool. They gotta cope somehow. But tonight wasn't about them. Tonight was the official reveal of the Browns' new belief system, one powered by Shadow and fueled by every single person who swore he couldn't pull this off. One win doesn't build a dynasty, but it definitely changes the whole temperature of the room. The internet is sniffing around right now like something heavy is cooking, and for once they're right. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't hype that got carried by noise.
Debut, it was historical. I don't care what anybody says, literally. It was historical. Browns quarterbacks have lost 17 straight games when making their debut. NFL record dating back to 1950, people. Over 200 yards, a touchdown. He did have a bad interception, but he would have had multiple touchdowns if they didn't take him out as soon as the team got towards the goal line every time they got into the red zone. Shedeur Sanders, he was poised. He extended plays. He got outside the pocket. He kept his eyes downfield. He directed traffic.
This was pure skill with straight-up receipts attached. Shedeur Sanders shut down the haters without quotes, without arguing, without going back and forth online. He did it with actual football, and the wildest part is he's just getting warmed up. And here's where it gets hilarious, because after the confetti disappears, after the stadium clears out, after the broadcast crew pretends they always believed, the real test kicks in. The week after a big win is when every sports show suddenly switches personalities. One minute they're doubting him, the next minute they're acting like they personally trained Shadow all offseason. It's crazy how fast criticism turns into, I knew this was coming, the second the scoreboard doesn't match their early predictions. Even the fan bases are confused. Some didn't know whether to cheer or stay cautious, and honestly, who can blame them? Cleveland has been through things. Hope feels risky. They don't trust success easily. They treat new talent like a suspicious link you're scared to click. But watching Shadow flip that switch in this win, they didn't want to believe, but the football forced them to. And the Raiders? Oh, they're definitely about to spin this loss into some heroic fairy tale. They'll say they fought until the end. They'll talk about encouraging signs, and they'll turn every decent play into an Instagram-style highlight dump with only the flattering angles included. That's influence. That's power. That's the kind of performance that makes people walk into work the next morning wearing Browns gear loud and proud. And even the teachers and bosses can't say a thing because the scoreboard had their back. And you already know the next chapter writes itself. From here on out, every single game is going to be treated like Judgment Day for Shadow and for Cleveland. If Shadow wins again, the hype is about to multiply like a math problem nobody asked for. Headlines will start looking like full movie trailers, dramatic fonts and all.
What a debut it was for Shedeur Sanders. His dad was here, Deion Sanders, in a white sparkling cowboy hat. The stars were out in Las Vegas this weekend, and Shedeur Sanders had a chance to shine. Now, it wasn't perfect, certainly. He made a number of rookie mistakes, and a lot of the drives went 3 and out. But for the most part, he was able to push the ball downfield a number of times.
People will swear a takeover is happening, calling him the new franchise face and acting like silence suddenly became the loudest sound in football. But if he has one rough week, the hot takes are going to explode so fast they might as well shatter the sound barrier. Folks won't remember the Raiders game at all. They'll rewrite the whole thing in real time. They'll say the win was luck, or a random script twist, or blame something wild like solar flares. Whatever fits the story they're trying to protect. That's the game, that's the cycle, that's the circus, and Shadow knows this already. You can see it in how he plays. Not angry, not desperate, not chasing approval from people who already made up their minds. He's playing for his team, the system, the scoreboard. The critics are background noise, and the haters are just part of the soundtrack. And honestly, the funniest moment of the whole night wasn't a touchdown. It was that camera shot of Raiders fans after Cleveland sealed the win. That 1,000-yard stare screaming, "How did we lose to him?" They looked like the script flipped mid-episode, and nobody gave them the memo. Not even mad. Just confused, like the Wi-Fi crashed in the middle of an important test. But the lesson couldn't be clearer. You can doubt talent, you can predict disaster, you can throw out the word overrated all you want, but the scoreboard does not care about anyone's narrative. The scoreboard has zero loyalty to preseason talk. Shadow took everything said about him and responded with calm, disciplined football. And honestly, what's more humiliating for a critic than that? Not getting proven wrong loudly, getting proven wrong effortlessly? Right now, they don't get to talk. The field spoke. The crowd spoke. Even the wind felt like it had something to say. Cleveland walked away with something they don't always get. Momentum. The city feels charged up.
Of the Browns-Raiders game, but I have seen all I need to see to say move forward. with Shedeur Sanders as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and the whole experiment with Dillon Gabriel already with just 2 throws. In the first half, Shedeur is 7 of 11, but 2 of those throws, it only took 2 of them to show me that this is a guy who can be a quarterback in an NFL offense. The 52-yard bomb down the field to Isaiah Bond. Holy crap, guys. That's the longest and best.
The stadium feels alive, and the rest of the league is paying attention because nobody wants to be the next team in line. And here's the part nobody wants to talk about, but everybody feels the Browns didn't just win a game, they woke up something. You could feel it buzzing through the stadium like someone flipped the city's power back on. It wasn't superstition, it wasn't luck, it was the look of a team realizing they finally have someone who can take the wheel without crashing it into a wall. People left that stadium walking different, talking different, acting like they just watched the pilot episode of a new era. But the wildest shift came after the game when analysts started whispering the same thing they swore they'd never say. What if Shedeur is actually the real deal? Suddenly, those same voices that used to nitpick his socks and his wristbands are now replaying his throws like they're studying a museum artifact. Every angle, every read, every scramble is getting reviewed like it contains hidden messages only football geniuses can decode. And honestly, that's how you know the league is nervous. Even inside the locker room, the vibe felt different. Players weren't just celebrating. They were looking at Shedeur like someone who just cracked a safe nobody else could open. That type of energy is rare. That type of swagger is contagious. Teams don't just rally around that, they build around it. And when a quarterback makes everyone around him feel leveled up, that's when things get dangerous for the rest of the league. And let's be real, the Raiders didn't just lose a game, they walked straight into a storyline they weren't prepared for. Now every team watching film is hitting pause like, hold on, how do we stop him? Spoiler alert, they don't know yet because Shedeur didn't win with one trick or one lucky moment. He won with control, patience, and ice-cold reads that make defenses look like they're buffering. This wasn't a highlight win. This was a message written in bold letters. The Browns are no longer playing catch-up. They're making people chase them, and the league better adjust quick because nobody wants to be the next team that Cleveland turns into a cautionary tale. And now the entire league is staring at Cleveland like they just found a cheat code in plain sight. The film rooms are about to be packed. Coaches hitting rewind so many times the remote might break. They're trying to figure out where it all went wrong, but the truth is simple. Shedeur didn't give them anything to grab onto. No fear, no hesitation, no doorway to attack.
But there's one thing that is undeniable. You cannot come away from this game and say, I was not entertained.
Yeah.
I was entertained. I was engaged. Was interested. And I think from week to week, what I always said from Dillon Gabriel, and I say it about Shedeur Sanders, I want to see your progression. It was a tough start last week. Is it perfect this week? No. But the progression, the poise,
He came in cool, calm, and surgical, and left defenses looking like they were stuck in loading screens. What makes this even crazier is how fast everything flipped. 1 week ago, people were talking like Shedeur was some long-term experiment, something for the future, something the Browns would slowly build into. Now, he's the conversation, he's the headline. He's the reason analysts are rewriting their takes before they get roasted online. Overnight, he went from unproven to problem, and not the kind opponents know how to fix. But here's the twist the league wasn't ready for. Shedeur didn't act shocked by any of this. He walked off that field with the calm of someone who expected this reaction, like, yeah, this is what happens when I get a real shot. That's the kind of confidence that can flip an entire season. That's the kind of presence that makes teammates straighten up, coaches rethink schemes, and opponents lose sleep. And don't overlook Cleveland right now. They're moving like a team that finally woke up from a long nightmare and realized the sun is still out. Fans are loud. The city feels alive. Even rival fan bases are peeking over the fence trying to figure out what exactly just hatched in Ohio. Because if this is the version of Shedeur that keeps showing up, if this is the standard now, then every team on the Browns schedule is officially in trouble. Matt, Cleveland didn't just find a quarterback, they found a spark. And sparks start fires real fast in this league. Chad's highlight reel. Winning one game doesn't guarantee greatness, but it sends a message. The Browns aren't here to survive the season, they're here to participate in it. If Shedeur plays like this again, it won't be about proving critics wrong, it'll be about proving believers, right? And that's when things get really scary. And that's the real truth right there. This wasn't just a win, it was a warning shot to the entire league. Cleveland finally looks alive, and Shadow is playing like someone who's not waiting for permission to shine. He's taking the spotlight and owning it. One game didn't make a legend, but it sure made everybody sit up straight and pay attention. If he comes out next week with the same energy, the same control, the same ice-cold confidence, then this stops being a Cinderella story and starts becoming a whole new chapter in Browns history. And the wildest part? Shadow looks ready for every second of it. If you want the latest Browns updates, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and see you on the next one.